Now it's time to sell your property, right? You've owned it for many years, maybe a few months, maybe a few decades, right? And you've reached the end of the road with this property and you want to sell it. Now you're thinking, how could a property management company help me sell my property? Well, let me tell you, our tenant management services can absolutely help you sell your property. And we're talking a difference of six figures in some cases, because there's a lot of common mistakes that owners make when it's time to sell. And the years that I've been doing this, it's just consistent themes, And so this video is kind of to debunk that. This blog is to kind of educate you, to make you realize, put this in perspective, okay? So one of the things I get a lot is I don't want to tell the tenants I'm selling because they're all going to move out. Well, listen, guys, um, they're gonna find out that the property's for sale, right? Everybody goes on Zillow. And if your tenants don't go on Zillow because they're old and they don't use the internet, their grandkids go on Zillow. Their nephews and nieces go on Zillow. Okay. Everybody likes to give people bad news. Like it's just what it is, right? So, like, oh, grandma, did you see your building's being sold? What? Nobody told me. Oh my God. Now you have all this commotion, right? So what happens? You're doing it because you don't want to give them the bad news, right? And then I come along, I list the building, I put it for sale, I'm trying to show the building, and now the tenant's mad that you didn't communicate with them and they're not letting us in. So put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Now I'm standing in the hallway with the buyer, I'm knocking on the door, and the tenant's not opening the door because they're upset with you. Like, what is that message that the buyer is receiving? These are problem tenants. This guy's selling because he's got terrible tenants. He's trying to screw me over, whatever it is. And this is the perception that the buyer has. So bringing us in to help you at the end when you know you want to sell is the best thing you can do for yourself, because we are very good at delivering bad news, right? We are very good at streamlining communications, right? We're very good at getting people to work together, okay? Because the tenants generally don't want to move, right? So if you think they're all going to move because you told them you're selling the building, then you know what? Let them go. Okay, let them go. It's fine. Because I'm going to show you here, sometimes the vacant units are worth more. Believe it or not. It's counterintuitive, but it's true. Okay, so first step to be successful when selling your rental property, tenant communication is key. Okay, and like I said, we help with that. We need to be upfront with the tenants. Okay, if the tenants have a low rent, right? The tenant's been there 15 years and they're paying $900 for an $1,800 apartment. We need to have that conversation with the tenant and say, hey, listen, the new buyer is going to come in. There is a possibility they may increase your rent, and I would say to the landlord, look, you feel guilty that, that you're punishing these tenants, but you're really not. You should feel good. You provided this person with an amazing place to live for a very long time at a well below market rate. Now it's your turn to be compensated for that, right? You want to sell your property, don't leave six figures on the table because you feel bad that, someone's rent may go up, so we want to get ahead of these things. Okay. Second thing is optimizing the leases for buyer appeal, right? So the leases are key. We need to make sure, like I said, the rents are good. We need to make sure that the paperwork's in order, that, things are clearly laid out, who's living here, what they pay, what the deposits are, what's included in the rent, what's not included in the rent, who's responsible for the trash. All these things are important, right? We need to lay that out, okay? Now, there's some proactive maintenance. The third thing, proactive maintenance to enhance property condition. It's very simple, guys, all right? We don't need to make these units be the Taj Mahal, but there's such simple things we can do that make the property show better, and the perceived value of the property in the buyer's eyes increases. Okay, examples: peeling paint, simplest thing to fix. We have guys that will go to your property and address the peeling paint. Okay, interiors, hallways. What is the first thing typically the buyer sees? Well, first they see the outside of your building, right? Everybody knows about curb appeal. But when a buyer's walking into your building, they walk into the hallway to the stairwell. Spend a little bit of money and paint that and make it look nice and welcoming, right? Put some new lighting in, make it well lit, right? And that's the first thing the buyer sees. Now they have a good impression. When they walk in the apartment, It's okay. You know, basements, right? Everybody's scared. These buildings are 100 years old, right? We want to make sure the basements are clean, they're well lit, they're not full of garbage, they're not full of moldy old wood, whatever, right? So we address that. And very basic things, just pressure wash and stuff like that. As far as inside the units, we want to make sure that, and again, this comes back to point one about tenant communication, right? The expectation that we're going to set with the tenant up front is, hey, this is going on the market. We're going to have showings. Here's the process where I notify you of the showing. Okay. And this is the expectation. You can be here for the showing. You don't have to be here. It doesn't matter. But, the world is going to see your unit. You're making an impression potentially on a new landlord. Have the unit in good condition. Make sure it's clean, stuff like that. Right. If we have problem tenants, then it's okay to get rid of them. Get rid of them before we put it on the market. Let them go. It's okay. That empty unit is worth more. And that's my next thing, right? Maintaining high occupancy rates with strategic considerations. Everybody thinks that an empty building has no value. It's actually the opposite, okay? So for 5-unit or higher buildings, if your units are all fully rented and they're all at market rents and all the paperwork's dialed in because you've had it professionally managed, right? Good to go. That's the highest level of perceived value. The owner comes in, everything's dialed in. They're not going to change much. It's a smooth transition, good value there. That's what we want to see. Okay. If you have a 12-unit building and you have 2 apartments with hoarders and they're paying $600 for a $1,500 apartment, everybody's paying $700-800. The rent should be $15-16. That's a problem. It's going to cost you a lot of money on resale. In that instance, you're better off. Hey, look, we're raising everybody's rent. We're going to get you to market. Whoever leaves. We clean the units. And the new buyer can take over the building with maybe 3 or 4 vacancies, but that's okay because they can pick the tenant they want at the rate that they want. Okay. Now, the opposite is true for 2 to 4-unit buildings. Those tend to be owner occupied, first-time buyers, low down payment. They're going to live there. Having a vacant unit in those buildings goes a long way. Really, really maximizes your resale value. And honestly, an empty 3-family that is not full of peeling paint, nice painted hallways, all the units are clean. They could be outdated. They could have space heaters. That's okay. But if they're all clean, they smell good, they're rent ready, and it's empty, that's the highest value for a 2 to 4-unit building because the person generally is going to live there. A lot of times they have family or friends that they want to rent to. They're terrified of taking a bad tenant. So, counterintuitive, but that empty multifamily will sell at a premium to a fully occupied 3-unit. Okay. That's something a lot of people don't realize. Okay. And the next thing is, again, financial documentation is key. That's where we come in. All right. So here's some examples of documentation we can give you. Like this is a sample, cash flow report, but giving this to a buyer, look at the value that this provides, right? This is the rent income this property has, the different housing programs, what the tenants have reimbursed. Everything's broken out. Everything's broken down, repairs by month, nice and clear, concise reporting. I can't tell you how many of these buildings I see listed for sale and the expenses are written on a napkin. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts, right? All right. We have nice, clean rental agreements, right? We turn this over. Like, look at the perception to the buyer. Like everything's dialed in here. This is all above board, right? If you have security deposits, okay, we make sure that they're all in compliance. So when you turn that over to the new buyer, they don't have to worry that they're going to get sued by the tenant because the security deposit wasn't handled right. We handle your estoppel certificates. This is where the tenant basically swears that, yes, everything's good and we're all in agreement, and that protects you as the seller. Okay. If you have lead paint, lead paint certificates, we're going to make sure we have all that in the file and send that over. All right. So these are some of the things we do. If you, like I said, if you've owned and managed your property yourself for many years and you're thinking, why would I hire a property manager now and I just want to sell it? Guys, we could come in, hire us for 2 to 3 months. We'll get you all dialed in. We'll do all these steps for you. And then ideally, you'll just hire us to list it because we are brokers as well. Right. So we'll get you top dollar. Like you don't want to, it's not fair to you to take this risk and manage this property all these years and leave potentially 6 figures on the table because you don't want to give someone bad news or have to, hold people accountable. You know what I mean? And it's not fair to the tenant either because you think you're doing this tenant a favor by not telling them and not being forthcoming with them. And as soon as the building closes, what's the new owner going to do? They're going to do it anyways, and the tenant's going to lose. So you're not really helping the person that you're thinking you're helping, right? Let us come in. We'll be the ones to advocate for you. We'll streamline the process. We'll get everybody on board, and we'll have a nice, smooth transition for you. Sell this property and help you find something else to invest the money in. Okay. So if you're thinking about that, come to our website. Just click right here on the bottom right where my face pops up. Fill out the form. We'll call you right away. Tell us the best time to call you. All right. If you want to call directly, here's our number on the top of the page. All right. Just give us a call, reach out, and we're here to help. Okay. So property management services can help you when you're selling your building, ensure a seamless transition. All right, guys. Thank you. I look forward to connecting. Talk soon.